This week I have an interview for you about forensic readiness. Welcome to the Digital Forensics Survival Podcast, episode 377. Hello everyone, I'm Michael, your host. Welcome to the show. This week I'm talking with Yugal Pathak about forensic readiness. Yugal is a skilled professional who has experience helping law enforcement agencies solve crimes related to social media, identity theft, financial fraud, email fraud, and more. He's also an accomplished forensic analyst and incident responder. I enjoyed this conversation very much, and I think you will as well, particularly learning about how security incident response works in his neck of the woods. So stay right there. Yugal and I will be back in a moment. Atola Technology, providing the fastest hard drive imaging solutions, even for damaged drives. To find out more about Atola Technology, go to atola.com. That's ATOLA.com. Start reviewing your first suspicious artifacts in seconds instead of hours with Cyber Triage. Its unique scoring methods allow you to quickly focus on the relevant startup items, user logins, and processes within minutes of starting your investigation. Cyber Triage now imports data from other collection tools such as CAPE and logical file sets. This allows you to take advantage of the scoring without changing your collection methods. Go to cybertriage.com to get your free evaluation copy. Summari's Macintosh forensics courses are the longest-running, highest-rated, vendor-neutral Mac forensics training available, and they're still the most affordable. Designed by Steve Whalen, the creator of Paladin, Recon, Tolino, and more. Summary has trained thousands of examiners around the world and now offers the only truly vendor-neutral Mac forensics certification, the Certified Forensic Mac Examiner. No sales pitch, just Mac forensics. For more information, visit summary.com. Hi everyone, don't forget to check out the SDF training series. They're on Udemy. So just go to udemy.com, type in SDF in the search bar, and all of my classes come up. There's a new class out about zero-day incident response. Check it out. Hi, Yugal. Welcome to the show.
Yeah. Hello, Michael. Welcome. Thanks for, getting me here. And I'm really privileged to be the part of this podcast. So, yeah, thanks all to you. And basically,
it's great to have you.
Should I introduce?
It's great to have you. I'm happy that you're here, and we are going to talk about forensic readiness and chain of custody. But before we do so, why don't you tell us about yourself, your DFIR journey, how you got here, your interests, all the background that we want to know.
Okay, fine. So talking about my DFIR journey, it has been quite, different. Basically, I wanted to be, a medical professional when I was in my school time. So I had no background in, engineering or forensic science. When I completed my 12th, I chose to go for computer science engineering, because computer science was my passion from a earlier time. After that, I completed my bachelor's, and during my bachelor's third year only, I discovered that there is something called forensics also, because I was mostly interested in cybersecurity, and in cybersecurity also I was mostly interested in penetration testing or fields like network security. I was never knowing forensics is some kind of thing which is also a part of this ecosystem. So then I met my mentor, and he basically gave me internship also, and he told me that digital forensics is a very, very interesting field. You should just go for it and try for it. And then I got my first internship in digital forensics. And when I discovered forensics, it was, unique, very unique and very different. Because I had seen things where people are finding vulnerabilities, where people are developing, we are always taught software development during our bachelor's or during our technical degrees. So I always saw something becoming. But it was the first time I saw someone, breaking things and finding out how it happened. So it was, kind of a reverse journey for me, what we were already taught from. And this is what amazed me to join digital forensics. Then I slowly learned myself in digital forensics and did many courses. Then I landed my first job into NCR Corporation. After my bachelor's, then I worked with some law enforcement agencies, police departments, government departments in like income tax raids in different kind of platforms like some law enforcement investigations. After that, again I shifted to corporate, and right now I am working in ESEC Technologies as digital forensic analyst. And right now I'm basically working in DFIR investigations, corporate investigations, incident response, and also different technological solutions like products, software products, and hardware products, both related to digital forensics.
Do you do enterprise level forensics and device level forensics? Laptops, phones, that sort of thing?
Yeah, both enterprise level also and device level also. Like forensic audits also, incident response audits also, incident investigations, and device level forensics also. It is a complete ecosystem in the organization. Like it is concerned with VAPT, network security. There are different departments, compliance, audits. So one department is GFIR also, where we are doing digital forensics also, incident response also, and we are having our products also in the market, the hardware products also and the software products also.
Well, that's an impressive background. So you must have a lot of experience with forensic readiness. Why don't we talk a little bit about that? What are the main factors involved in forensic readiness for an organization?
See, for an organization to be forensically ready, the first and the foremost thing should be there is the organization should have the knowledge of what is digital forensics and how a normal device can be converted to a digital evidence when the term comes to forensics. Like most of the people knows how the incidents occur. They know about SOC, SIEM, log maintenance, and most of the things, but they never know like the device which they are keeping, the device which they are using may sometime become a very legal or very vital evidence in the legal framework, and it may also help the law enforcement prove some crime, or if there is some kind of corporate theft, it's some kind of some kind of corporate mishap, like some insider threats are there, some employees are leaking out the data. So those devices, those networks, and those small emails or any kind of corporate conversation which was carried out on some platform or device could become a very vital evidence later. So forensic readiness, in my opinion, basically means keeping all the devices, all the evidences which can be a potential deal breaker in the case of a legal investigation or in case of a legal incident securely, so that later they can be produced in the court of law. Their integrity can be verified or challenged and proved, and also they can be preserved for later use in case of some legal investigation goes on and some legal challenges are coming up.
What are some of the gaps that you see, let's say, in the private sector for forensic readiness? Are there some reoccurring problems?
Yeah, the basically, I'm talking about India. I would say that yeah, the biggest challenge in India is the lack of awareness regarding what are the proper way to secure the evidences, and the secondly, what are digital evidences. People mostly don't know about what digital forensics is and how it can be incorporated into corporate, also into academics, also into health sector also. We recently see there was a case in India where a leading hospital was targeted with a ransomware attack. So in that case, all the devices, all the systems present there became a vital evidence. But the organization was not forensically ready. They were not having regular forensic audits. They were not having regular incident response audits. They were not having regular compliance check, regular certifications and everything for their employees. The employees were not trained. They were not knowing anything about how to mitigate an incident, how to contain it. If an incident occurs, where to inform, what to do. So in that case, I see the major gap in India is firstly the awareness regarding what cyber incidents are, how to contain them, and if they occur, how to respond to them. And the second I would say is the lack of the skill set and the lack of a good workforce which can be a first responder in case of some cyber incident occurs.
When you're working with these companies, do you find that you have to educate the staff to assist with the investigation, or do they typically have some people that are familiar with security practices?
See, in our organization, basically, we are giving forensic services and we are giving incident response services. So basically, our staff is familiar with it, and because we are a cybersecurity organization. But yeah, I would say about most of the companies who are in the IT sector or who are working in the information technology domain are unaware of this fact, because although they are, using IT systems, they are implementing server, they are implementing SOC, SIEM, they are implementing firewalls, IDS, IPS, every kind of technology. But most of the time, they are not updated on the time. They are not kept maintained to the highest level of security. The employees in the organization are, not following the secure coding practices. They are not following the, cyber hygiene. And most of the time, the employees, they are, not aware of what phishing is, how they can be the target of phishing. They are sharing their organization data into their personal devices. They are sharing the organization related confidential files on their personal communication channels, and some kind of covert communication channels also, like Telegram or somewhere, which may cause a great threat for them to get a part of a cyber incident, because these all mediums, whatever they are using, are actually very, very susceptible to incidents. And the biggest thing I would suggest for this thing is, please stop using external channels then provided by the organization to communicate or share any kind of data which is very vital to the organization. And whenever you are working in the corporate environment, please be connected to a safe VPN which your company provides. Please be connected to the safe network your company provides, and stop using open networks or free networks which are available here and there.
Wow. So it sounds like you really have your work cut out for you when you walk into these situations. And from what you're saying, one of your first steps is to simply assess the maturity of the organization and what's going on, like what's even available. And so you have a lot of scoping to do, I think, before you can even begin doing an investigation.
Yeah, I agree on it, because the organizations, they are not much aware about how to keep the digital evidences. When we are firstly approaching some organization on case of some incident investigation, the first thing is we ask them, in case of it's a network or a server or something, that to provide us the logs, okay, the device logs, the device dumps, the memory dumps, whatever we are needing for the incident investigation. And we are requiring the information about the admins, the users who are using them. Okay, what are the operating systems they are using? What are the most of the are the operating systems updated? Are the devices they are using having app whitelisting? Have they done network VAPT? Are their systems secure? Okay, and are they using firewalls? Are they using IDS, IPS? Are they using some kind of secure coding practices or not? So most of the time when we ask the companies this, most of the companies do not have the data regarding it. Like, they do not have any data maintained of who are accessing their secure servers, who are accessing their networking devices. Like, the things come into account that five people are there into the server room, and they never know who has accessed the server at which time, because all have the same level of access. There is no access segregation. Okay, there are no access levels usually. And they are just having trust. They're not following zero trust policy. They are having trust on the users that these are the five admins and they will keep the information safe. Whereas the thing comes, one of the admin leaks the credentials, or he gets phished, or something happens with him, his device gets compromised, and his account is being taken over by the criminal, or the cyber threat actor, and then he's trying to get into the company systems. He get authorizations and authentication to all the systems, and he's doing whatever happens. And later the company comes to know they are actually still not thinking that their employee could have done it. They say, some external threat actor would have hacked our system. He would have, got our credentials from somewhere, or, some rivalry companies there who is trying to do attack on us. But actually, it's the human fault. It's the human mistake, or it's the human error which occurs. So most of the time, this is the case. And secondly, I will say second case is, the passwords. The passwords they are using are very weak. Like, for example, in their company, there are 15 employees. They have been onboarded on the same day. So what happens when the company departments gives them the laptop or the devices? they have the policy of making the default passwords, and the default passwords are like, welcome at the rate 123, or your name at the rate 123 hash, or your employee ID at the rate something. Those passwords are not changed by them, and most of the companies do not employ the policy also to change them in 60 days, 90 days, or sometime. So what happens, those passwords are same from a very long time, and your colleague, your people who are working with you are also knowing of it. So if someone tries to access your account and do some mishap, it's very easy for him. He doesn't have to even brute force your password. He doesn't have to phish you also. So this is the case what goes in most of the scenarios. And there are various scenarios, where we actually encounter the human error more than the machine level error, or some kind of cyber shortcoming.
That sounds incredibly difficult as an environment to work in. There's so much to sort out. Are there any regulations or compliance?
Yeah. See, actually, there is a body certain. Okay, Computer Emergency Response Team of India is there, and many government organizations like mostly are under MEITY, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India, who is basically giving most of the circulars. Okay, every time, most of the vulnerability updates on their website, certain issues and certain regularly issues circulars and recommendations on how to keep your organization secure. It is mostly issuing the circulars on CVEs, like and many other private organizations are also there who are following it. But what happens? Most of the organizations who are into the IT sector, they do not consider themselves the part of cybersecurity or cyberspace. They think our organization is not having so much secure data that some hacker or some threat actor would attack on us. So yeah, the certain is issuing regularly the circulars, but they are not of our use, because we are not having so much confidential data. It is just for ICT systems, or it is just for organizations who are holding some confidential data, who are working with government organizations or somewhere. So most of the private organizations, especially the small and medium organizations, they are not enforcing it, and that is the place where the gap comes in, because the government organizations are doing their best to secure the people. They are issuing regular circulars, they are issuing regular advisories. Okay, they are also making people aware. Many awareness campaigns are being carried on by the government. Many hackathons are being carried on, so that the employees and the college students also come up together. They are making some solutions so that cyber space can be secured. But where comes the gap is the organizations are actually not implementing it, because they don't consider themselves so much vulnerable to cyber attacks. And till the time they do not consider that any of the data, whether it is confidential, whether it is non-confidential, it is somewhere related to three terms, which is personally identifiable information, personally identifiable health information, or personally identifiable financial information. These three type of data is in every organization. Like, all organizations have employees, they all have their health data, they all have their financial data, they all have their personal information, including their IDs and everything, and which can be later used and misused by cyber threat actors. So all organizations have to understand that they have to keep this data secure, and for keeping the data secure, they have to follow the regulations issued by certain, issued by NCIIPC, issued by all the government organizations and agencies. Government has set up especially I4C, Internet Cybercrime, Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center, which is basically working to secure the internet space in India. And if any kind of cybercrime occurs, government is immediately asking you to report on cybercrime.gov.in or 1930, which is a helpline number 24/7 available for cybercrime. But still, people are doing late in reporting the incidents. Certain has even issued an advisory that any cyber incident which occurs in the organization should be reported within 6 hours. You have to maintain your company's server time to the local time servers. Okay, there should not be any deviation. You have to keep the logs of all the incidents occurring, or all the events happening in your organization in case of some incident occurs, and you have to provide certain with the logs. Certain is also mandated all the organizations to follow the regulations and appoint nodal officers, so that in case of some kind of cyber incident occurs, who will be the point of contact. Okay, so the POC should be there. But these regulations are not being followed mostly. And I would say not only small organizations, some banks are there, some financial organizations there, some organizations who are working with government sectors, they are also under the table not following this all, because they think ultimately, no one is going to audit us, or no one is going to know if you are not going to follow it. And when some incident occurs, they all are under the attack. That's what happens here.
Wow, you must have some wild and chaotic cases for sure. You mentioned, you mentioned a term, forensic attribution, and as it pertains to each cyber incident. Is this required? Like, could you explain what you mean by forensic attribution? Is it required, and does it have any benefits?
Yeah. See, forensic attribution of every incident is required, in my opinion, and the reason is, what has happened today may occur tomorrow again, and today in a small manner, and tomorrow in a larger extent. So whatever happened today, we should not ignore it. Like, for example, some organization is having some recon activity being recorded on their information security channels, or they are having some kind of small attacks or some phishing attacks on them. So they should not ignore it, because today they may be small phishing attacks, but actually the intruder is not trying to attack your organization. He's trying to collect some information about your organization, which may be used tomorrow to attack on larger organizations connected to you, or some employees who are having some vital data connected to you, or it can be used to cause large financial gains, financial losses to you, and the gains can be achieved by the attacker in the terms of exfiltrating some data which can be used for some third party organizations. For example, there is some very small company who is working as a payment channel between a government department and some bank merchant. The organization may be thinking that if some phishing attack is happening on me, what could be the thing? Because I am not holding the user's credit card data, I am not holding the user's financial information or something. But you are acting as a channel between the two organizations. So yeah, whatever data is going on, it is passing from your servers. Whether you are storing it or not doesn't matter, but it is passing there. So if in some time you get some cyber attack, or you get some incident happening with you, in that case, you may be the person, you may be the organization, or your organization may become a medium through which other organization can get hacked, or other organization can be attacked. So in this way, I would say that forensic attribution of every incident would ensure two things. Firstly, to get how the incident occurred, so that you can follow the measures, so that incident does not happen again. You can get regular security checks. You get to know what was the the motive of the attacker, from where the attacker came, what he wanted to do, what could be the possible side effects if the attack would have been successful, and the most importantly, if such attacks occur in the future, what could be the possible loss that could occur, the financial loss also, data loss also, and some kind of reputation loss also to the organization. Second thing occurs, that you are always aware of the latest trends in cyberspace, what kind of attacks are happening, how the cyber threats are changing, and how the cyber threat actors are using existing vulnerabilities or new systems for making new kind of attacks, or they are deriving some new kind of techniques to exfiltrate data from the organization. So I would say forensic attribution of every incident is mandatory, and it should be done, because it will lead to the answers of many unanswered questions, which could help you make a secure and a resilient cyber plan, which could lessen the incidents not only in your organization but also the organization associated with you.
When you provide these lessons learned, say, to a company that has had an attack, and there's a lot to learn from the attack, and that information is provided, how do they generally take it? Are they taking it seriously? Are they developing their own internal threat intelligence programs to begin becoming more mature for their security posture?
See, honestly, I would say if we are providing some recommendations to organization, they are enforcing it, because already when incident occurs, they have their eyes open that what could happen with them and what actually happened with them, and if they are not following the compliances, what could be the impact, or what could be the result which could cause them loss. And the secondly, the government organizations are actually then behind their back and always auditing on them, always keeping an eye on them, so that they regularly follow all the circulars, all the mandatory compliances which have to be done. So basically, yeah, once the forensic attribution has to be done, and it has been done, the report is being submitted to the nodal agency of the country. And once the report has been submitted to the nodal agency, they are also issuing them guidelines how they have to maintain their systems, how they have to maintain their security levels now in coming future, so that no new incident occurs. And if new incident occurs, what has to be the SOP for handling it, and who has to be informed. So yes, the forensic attribution and the lessons learned from them, which provide them a pathway how to secure the organization, is very, very essential, and organizations have to follow it.
Yeah, it sounds like they don't have much of a choice. They have forced compliance. What about the
Exactly.
overall trend for threat intelligence? Do you see overall companies taking it more seriously?
See, threat intelligence has become a mandatory thing nowadays, because as cyber threats are increasing, organizations have to be you know in knowledge of what new is coming in the market and how threats are increasing, how threats are changing. But yeah, I would say threat intelligence is still a backward thing or a left behind thing for organizations who are small and who are not related to IT. Because for example, there is some company who is non-IT company who is doing some business of some clothing or textile industry, or there is some food industry company. They are not taking threat intelligence much seriously, because they think that we are not an IT company, we are not an IT organization, so how the threat could affect us. But they never know that they are also using some ICT systems. So most of the organizations who are not a IT company, who are like for example a textile industry, or who are for example a food industry company, they are not taking threat intelligence more seriously, because what they think, that our organizations are not having some IT systems, our organizations are not following some kind of regular uh, cyber data, we are not storing some kind of confidential information related to some cyberspace, or we are not having our hands open into the cyberspace. So what they think, they think that if our data gets leaked also, or if some attacker attacks us also, what data he will get from us, because we are not an IT company. But actually they are wrong. Recently we saw that Haldirams was a company in India which got a cyber attack. Okay, we got many companies in India who are not an IT company who got a cyber attack. And what it costed, it costed them a lot of economic loss. So yeah, cyber threat intelligence is evolving in India, but still people are not taking it seriously. And most of the small agencies, they are not taking seriously because of some budgetary constraints, or I will say they are not having enough awareness on using cyber threat intelligence as a medium to protect themselves. And they are not getting regular checks, they are not having so much of staff who is cyber aware, who is having knowledge of cyber security and forensics. So yeah, that's the way most of the organizations are not using cyber threat intelligence. else india has a very cyber Else India has a very good cyber threat intelligence infrastructure right now.
What's the difference between incident handling and forensic attribution?
See, incident handling is basically, when you are trying to stop an incident, you are trying to mitigate it. See, incident response has various phases. When you got an incident, you firstly is the thing when you recognize something is happening in an organization, and know that you will organize, that you will recognize through some kind of some kind of alert, or some kind of breach, or you will recognize it through some kind of employee who will be telling you that something happened into the organization. So once you are aware of it, the first thing you will do, you will be contacting the incident response team. Okay, so what happens, the preparation phase is actually I would say most of the times gone, or most of the times it doesn't come into the picture, because when the incident has occurred, there is no time for that. So I would say the most prevalent first phase comes detection. Okay, so first thing is you are detecting it, the incident has occurred. Now you are analyzing the incident, and most of the time I would say is wasted in analyzing the incident only in India, in most of the organizations, because organizations, they are not maintaining the logs regularly. Organizations, they are not keeping their systems updated. So firstly, collecting the information about the organization, how they are having their network infrastructure, how they are having their cyber infrastructure, how they are securing their logs, how they are keeping the information. That is the most big factor which takes a lot of time. Then comes the containment phase. Now for containment phase, there are two problems which occurs. Firstly, there is not a proper chain of command in India. Chain of command is a very big problem. Like for example, if an organization attack happens, there is not one point of contact who will be responsible for all the actions, or who will be authorizing all the actions. There is a very long chain, and each approval takes a little bit of time, which causes more loss with time, as the attacker gets more time to exfiltrate the data. Okay. The third thing is, when we are going for containment or eradication phase, the biggest thing is budgetary constraints of the organization. The organization is not ready for implementing some kind of systems if financial constraint comes there, or the organization is not having so much of resources, or you can say monetary resources also, you can say in case of cyber resources also, you can say in case of if there is some kind of investigation, the organization is not having enough resources, and the organization basically tries to skip out this thing, that if the incident has already occurred, let's not do the forensic analysis, let's not do anything, let's not do the investigation, because now the attack is already over. Whatever has to be happened, it happened. Okay, why we should waste money on that? That's the most big factor which comes sometime into the picture. But I would say the post event activity or the recovery phase is the most important phase, because organizations don't realize what kind of data has been lost by them, and what is the importance of the data if it is leaked into the dark web. Here's the most important thing. In India, most of the organizations are not knowing that their data is already being leaked on dark web. Their data is already being sold. And what is the impact it is giving on the organization, their organization's credibility, their organization's personal information, their organization's initial information, the resources, they all are being leaked. They are not even realizing it. They are not even knowing that the data is already out there in the market and it is being sold. So what happens when post incident activity comes to the picture, like forensic attribution? The organizations are little bit reluctant then having a incident response activity. They are just having the mindset, let's let the incident response finish. We have mitigated the incident, we are all good now, and let's not go for the further activity or the further analyzing, because it would take additional financial resources, it will take additional time. Our organizations activities could be hindered, we could get business losses if there is some downtime or something. So these all factors come into consideration if you are going for the forensic attribution thing. And right now, what is the stand of the government agencies in India is this only. They are making organizations aware that the forensic attribution of this thing is most important, even more than the incident response. Because if the incident has already occurred, the forensic attribution is only the thing which will be telling you why the incident occurred and how it can be mitigated in the future. And if you are skipping this step, later you may get the same incident again and you will not be able to do anything. Likewise, it happened right now.
That sounds so incredibly challenging. It sounds like you're trying to help them at the same time. You're educating them, you're pointing out the gaps, and there are all these challenges with the lack of command just to get anything done. They're making decisions based on, like you said, budgetary concerns rather than security. They're not seeing the long game, the big picture. It's all very short term from everything that you're describing. So, wow, that's so challenging. All right, back to forensic readiness. Does the forensic readiness of an organization determine its incident response capabilities?
Pardon?
Does the forensic readiness of an organization, does it determine, or what's your thoughts on its impact on incident response capabilities?
Yeah, I would say definitely, because see, if you are considering an incident from the forensic perspective, that this thing could happen, and if this thing happens, what could be the loss, and what could be the result. Okay, so I would say if you think about the results and prepare for some kind of activity, that would be more advantageous than just preparing it and not knowing the result of it. So see, forensic readiness, how it comes, like for example, if some incident is occurring in your organization and data gets exfiltrated, you are already knowing that data can be exfiltrated from my organization. If there is some ransomware attack, you're already knowing that my systems can get into the hand of the attacker, and I'll not be able to do anything. So firstly, you will be maintaining some other backups. You will be maintaining some other kind of remote backups. You're having some remote data centers which are not connected to your organization. If you think that your some confidential data can be leaked from the cloud spaces, from some online spaces, you will be keeping it secure into some offline form. So if you are thinking some kind of incident to happen from a forensic perspective, you will be earlier knowing that what can be the result of it, and once the result occurs, how the thing can be reversed back. So if you are prepared for the reversal of the thing, if you are prepared for the result, you will be able to in a manner determine how you can prevent yourself from it, and what are the measures you should take in case that thing occurs. And if that thing occurs, that should not cause much loss to you.
Wow. Well, this has been so eye-opening. It's understanding what DFIR work is like in your environment, in your part of the world. It just puts a lot of things in perspective. It brings home the fundamentals that we all preach and we all hope organizations adhere to. Yours just seems very particularly challenging. So my hat's off to you. You must get so much experience, so many different cases, running the gambit from enterprise level forensics to device-based forensics or endpoint-based forensics, and then all these challenges of security maturity that come up that you just have to deal with, especially from the way you're describing it. You're going in there many times and you're just trying to get it contained and fixed, and then hoping you have some evidence to do an investigation, get that attribution so you can do lessons learned and help the company become better at security. Well, that's about all the time we have for today. This was a great conversation. I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me, and I hope to have
Thank you.
back again soon.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. And I would at the end just say one thing, that forensics is not actually just a process, it's the science behind some facts. So in forensics, we are basically trying to tell you that what is happening and what could happen and why it happened. So people should take forensics and the forensic attribution of something very seriously, because that is only the way in which you could get the answers of your questions which were unanswered from years, or which will be unanswered if something happens also. So people should go for forensic readiness checks. People should go for tabletop exercises. People should go for regular incident analysis. They should go for regular VAPT exercises. They should go for regular incident response audits, forensic audits. That will not actually hamper your work, or that will not actually cause you some monetary some kind of load on your existing infrastructure, but actually it will prevent you from later financial losses or later losses in your organization, the data losses, which could be more devastating than what is right now. So actually people should take this seriously, and government is also not only forcing you, government is actually trying to tell you that this is mandatory, and with time, with increasing AI and all the modern technologies, this thing has become a mandate and you will have to follow it. And if you don't follow this, your survival would be basically into a threat. So what I would say into this DFIR survival podcast is, forensics is only the way that could lead you to a happy survival without getting into the some kind of incident. So yes, take forensics seriously.
Well, that's all the time we have for this episode. Thanks, Hugo, for coming on, and I hope to have you back again soon.
Thank you.